Yeah, so I'm just getting ready to head out to my buddy Sean's at Sean's Nonstock Customs to see how he's coming along with the Springer that he's making for me. I hope you follow us along today. He's one of the East Coast premier builders of bike parts and bikes. I think you'll be totally impressed with his shop. I always am when I go there, and it's not very often I get a chance to get down that far. He's about 60 miles, so today I'm excited about getting out of my shop, going to his shop, and seeing what he's up to. So come along with me and let's check it out. So I'm really looking forward to getting out of the house here and getting down to Sean's. Haven't seen him for a while, and it's always great to talk bike talk with somebody you know. We don't get enough chance to do that. The summer goes by, we're all working, and now it's winter time. So now it's build time. It's what we do up here in the Great White North when the weather's not nice. You know, you can't stop thinking about bikes, but you can be creative and start building on things and those projects that you wanted to do all summer and you never got to. I'm really excited about going down there today and seeing what he's got on the go. I think that he's working on my Springer today. That's one of the reasons I wanted to go down, to see some parts either fabricated by yourself or fabricated by somebody that you respect to put on your bike. Is an important thing, and it makes you feel more involved in what's going on. Sean's an expert builder, and he welds like a machine. Be sure to check his site out at Sean's Nonstock Customs, and you'll be impressed with the kits he has. Getting shitty out there. So we're just about here. Tucked away in a sleepy little suburb outside of Halifax. A couple turns off the main road, but tucked away here, you'll find Sean's Nonstock Customs. So let's go in and have a look. Anybody home in this place or what?
Isn't it crazy out right now?
Holy shit, Sean.
It's nuts, eh?
You're winter down here, buddy.
You guys got it worse than us the other night for wind.
Wind, but holy shit.
What was it that got hammered was about 45 minutes up the road from you, going towards Digby.
Oh yeah, up the Blue Tractor Trail right off the road up there.
Yeah, and a roof off.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah, so this is a new frame you're building
Yeah.
for yourself, basically. Something
Yes.
you're experimenting with. Or?
Yeah, it's an experimental shovel head frame. So it's years ago, I think it was a BSA or Triumph. They used to have like an oiled frame backbone.
Right.
And I always thought it would be pretty cool to do it with on a shovel head. So that's basically why that tube is bent like that. And that's all going to be one piece, right down to the crossover tube is actually going to be filled with oil as well. And your supply line spigot is going to be under your crossover tube.
So this is going to be your oil filler up here?
That's going to be your filler.
And it's all this, you said?
Yeah, and then down here to the crossover tube.
Oh, that as well?
And then if you feel up here, there's a vent and a return. There's two bungs on that side.
Okay.
So your oil lines are going to come up through there. I'll probably channel them, like put a bracket onto the frame, so you got two oil lines going nice and tidy up to the up to there.
Yeah, that would look cool.
And use some Russell fittings.
I really like the
swinger plates.
Yeah. I really like those.
That's my design.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, very much so, and they're very nice. I like that stuff. You know what I mean? They're always just sort of random. There's nothing you can do with them per se.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've tried to weld things on them and that over the years, but that's really nice. Is it set back farther, the seating position on it? It's just a
reverse.
illusion?
It's a reverse curve. So it's actually the pivot point is actually 3/4 of an inch higher. Everybody's trying to get their rails like nice and level, perpendicular to the ground, right? And there's a look that they kind of want like a kicked up swing arm.
Okay.
You still want suspension. So if I raise the center point of my pivot, what it does is it's actually lowering my frame 3/4.
Oh yes, okay, I got you.
And then depending on whether you run, now that frame is going to need my swing arm, but we also build them. That's also built for a 200 rear tire.
They're really nice.
Yeah,
they're really nice, and it gives you that. backward motion. Like I say, it's almost an optical illusion. It looks like it's been stretched back.
Yeah.
You know.
And when it's powder coated and there's a nice swing arm on there and a 200 rear tire and a juicy fender, it's gonna look good. And the shovel is going to be the diamond. And
so you're gonna put a shovel?
Absolutely, right there.
Oh, okay. And
I raised the backbone a couple of inches. So if you want to take your rocker boxes off and you want to service your engine inside the frame, you can do all that. You got plenty of space to do that, right?
Cool.
Yeah.
It's nice. How tall is it?
It's 2 up, 2 out.
That's all.
Yeah, 30-degree rake.
Yeah. It looks like 6.
No,
it's
an illusion because of the lowers. They're about 2.5 inches off the table on the frame fixture.
Even so, it looks like
it
looks like a long stretch up through there.
Yeah.
But very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Cool. Do you just build it for yourself?
Just for me, but
at this point,
if someone ordered this frame, it wouldn't come with an oil-in frame. It would be a straight backbone with a center tube that's going to be welded.
It wouldn't be an oil-in frame. Why? That's for you.
Just for me.
I know exactly what you mean. Some things you do, and you say, "I'll try that."
Exactly. This is S&S proprietary, like swing arm frame.
Yeah.
So this specifically for shovel head. But the other good thing about it is you can jam an Evo into these too, because we lift them up. Exactly.
Lots of height. Yes.
Yeah, so people can do that.
It's very attractive. It's very attractive.
Well, it would be. It'll be more 250. Yeah. I don't know 250, man.
I got wheels on me.
Exactly. Yeah. No, 250 looks good. That's as big as I go though.
Yeah.
200 is like my happy place.
They're nice handles.
180, 200. I mean, and it looks big enough in the rear where you got some meat.
They do. You park beside somebody, then you see
especially with that, because it's like condensed. So once I get the swing arm on there, and you get that rear tire on, it really starts to take shape, and it really starts to look good.
But yet it looks long.
It does, but it really isn't.
No.
If you put the engine in, it would make a little bit more sense, right?
Yeah.
You would see actually that, geez, it is only 2 up and 2 out.
That's right. Yeah. Cool. So we're going to have a look at the Springer that Sean's gearing up for me, and I'm stoked about it. And I see it here, Sean, and I really like the other one that you made for my trike. It's a beautiful piece of work. So can you tell me a little bit about what I'm getting?
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Very cool.
This is our S&S Customs Limited Springers, and they've kind of like transformed over the years just because technology gets better. And you know, when I first built a Springer, a hand cut.
How long has that been now?
From the first Springer?
From the first Springer you built, you think? Roughly?
12 years. Yeah. 12 years ago. And I hand cut everything out.
Yeah.
And then I had like a rotary table on the mill, and I'd get it.
Oh yes, I know what you mean.
Right? To get the round edges. Now we're kind of spoiled because we have the table and we have some CNC mills and stuff like that.
True.
But still, the programming and everything for it is an art in itself.
Yes.
Right? CNC programming, even manually machining.
That's right.
You know?
Anybody thinks they're just going to do it, walk up to it.
Exactly.
Anybody thinks they're going to walk up to it and just program that.
Usually
got a rude awakening.
The guys that say they don't like it are the guys that usually don't understand how to operate it, but that's fine. Or they say it takes away from the essence of you know, hand making something, and I don't think it. I couldn't disagree anymore, because the amount of programming and everything that's involved, it's its own art on itself.
That's right. It enhances your work.
Absolutely.
You know, it's just another tool to work with. It doesn't. It's not making that piece by itself.
That's right. That piece is in that metal somewhere, and it's up to you to program it with toolpath. You can always make it. It's the time that's involved in making it, and justifying that time to someone. Like, how can you justify a brake bracket? Look at that brake bracket you built for the trike.
Yeah. How can you
to a customer, right? So you can program it on there.
Yeah.
And guess what? You say, I'm going to build another bike. I want the same one. It comes out the exact same.
That's right. That's right.
So from a production.
Making that by hand, like
for us, like in parts in here, production, like all that, those hardtail kits and everything.
Yes.
It's got to be the same, you know.
First thing I wanted to know was, what was your first motorcycle?
Very first motorcycle was a Honda Shadow.
A Honda Shadow? Yeah. When would that have been? You remember, roughly?
Well, when I grew up in Ontario, and where I lived was all farming communities. So all my friends had dirt bikes and stuff, so I was always growing up around dirt bikes and riding dirt bikes because friends had spares and stuff. We could never afford it. So when I got into the pipe fitters and welders trades, I started making money. I talked to my wife, said, geez, I really, I was in my early 20s, and I said I'd like to take the course and finally get a street bike. I had previously drove a street bike before, really liked it, without a license, but just around the block and stuff like that. And I was on call one night. It was my birthday weekend, and I was on call. I was working the whole weekend. I was driving from like Kentville to Yarmouth to Cape Breton. Frustrated, grumpy. My wife said, "Oh, come have a piece of birthday cake," because they were at my parents' house. My birthday, I couldn't even make it to my own birthday, right? And she said, "We got a surprise for you." So I went there, had a piece of cake, had to go because I had a service call coming. And she hands me a piece of paper, and it was my title for my my Honda Shadow.
Really?
And so my wife has always been my biggest. She's always been my biggest fan for me. Like wanted to.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be anywhere without her.
No, absolutely.
Really?
Yeah, they're.
I'm 50 years with her. I think about it all, and they're the driving force behind you.
They are.
They help
protect us
when things are down. They keep saying, "Yeah, you're doing it.
Yeah, that's right.
You're doing the right thing."
Yeah, and there's a lot of ups and downs. So she surprised me with that, and then the Monday the bike came. I had taken the course, so I had the bike before the course, of course. So like it's burning a hole in my. I just want to get on it and drive.
Go, yeah.
So I take the course because what that did was it allowed you to shorten your. It was kind of like a graduated license.
Oh yes, yeah.
So it was only for 30 days. So I took the course, really good course. I'd actually like to take it with someone that's never taken it before, just as a refresher. So I did that, and the first thing I did when I got home that Sunday, well, I was on the bike and going. Then I'm like, well, I'd like to change the pipes. I'd like to do the bar.
So that started the day, yeah.
So then I changed the handlebars, and we put an exhaust on it and rejetted the carb and stuff like that.
Right.
And I was
started playing with them, yeah.
And then I was looking at. I've always liked Harley night trains.
Oh yes.
And ever since I was a kid, just because it's kind of sinister.
They were a nice bike when they brought them out.
Exactly.
At that time.
FXSTBs, or whatever they were.
Yeah.
So I started looking at Harleys, and I sold my Honda to my father, and I went and bought my first Harley. And I had it 6 months, and I took apart the whole top end, rebuilt it, cams, clutch plates, did everything because I did that kind of work way before I was into like fabrication and stuff.
Right.
So I was always beefing up my engines and always rebuilding my transmissions and so on and so forth on twin cams. Yeah. Did it for love Sportsters. I got a soft spot in my heart for anything up to 2003 just because it was such a bulletproof engine.
Well, that's pretty obvious with your parts and things.
Oh, exactly.
A lot of them related to those years.
Sportsters, yeah. Now, when I was a kid, it was, I don't know what it was, but I was just fascinated by two wheels. Yeah. Like motorcycle. That's all I could think about. Dirt bike. Like they were in my dreams, and it was Honda, Yamaha, Kawasaki. I love the lines and the fenders and the lights and and then when you obtain that, like I remember riding one. I told you this the other day, and I'm just flying through a field, not even looking at it, just going, wow, this is, thank God there was no trees or anything. But it's a special kind of...
It's in your blood or it's not.
Therapy, man.
And it comes at a younger age, I find. I started at 14 because I could drive in Edmonton at 14.
Yes.
Anything under 100 cc's. So, I mean, I started driving, and I'd have to say that I'm the classic case of seeing the bike clubs running with the women on the back. And I remember my teenage years there, 13 or 14, saying, I want one of those. I don't know whether I meant the women or the bike, but I want one of those. I want one of those, and and it was, and I got a my Harley in '74, and never looked back. Right? So it's really in your blood for sure. Another thing I'd like to talk to you about, I seen on your latest video was your sliding fender you're talking about.
Yes.
I found that very interesting there, and it's as soon as you said it, I went, oh my God,
I'll tell you how it works. So there's two slots, and on your subframe kits for Sportster,
Yes.
the slot, the fender positioner gets welded to the crossover tube. The crossover tube where your seat is going to mount,
Okay.
like if you were to put springs on it. So what it does is it has an inch slide back and forth, right? And then there's a contoured one that's bent like a 90, still has the slots in it, and then that gets mounted to the fender. So my biggest pet peeve is when the contour of a fender does not run the profile of the tire.
I'm there with you.
It just drives me batty. Like
Yeah.
you could have a gorgeous bike,
And the
then
fender's
you just,
sitting up this high above the tire.
You're just
you know?
like, that would
Yeah.
be so much better. So what happens is over time, when I used to build a bike, we would run our chain, tension it, set our fender in a fixed place. But you know yourself, the chain's going to stretch. That's why I'm going with a belt on that too, because there's less stretch in the belt and stuff.
Yes.
So as soon as when you adjust that, you've got that gap in the front of your fender to your tire, and it just kind of offsets it. So what this bracket does is it allows you to move it back. And I'm talking like little increments.
Like an
you know,
inch.
as soon as when you twist a 1/4 inch on a chain adjuster,
How much it comes back.
it snugs up,
Yeah.
right? So this is just a way to eliminate that, and kind of the people that have OCD like myself can push their fender back and kind of like put it in a position where it looks proper. Right?
Yeah, it's a hell of an idea because it is. I agree with you on those kind of lines. It is an eyesore, and when you see something, you look at it and you go, "Why the hell didn't they fix that?"
Yeah, and
You know?
I sold a few of them. Like people
Yes.
are like, right on, and I've never seen it done, but
I've never seen it done in all my years.
Yeah,
I've never seen it.
It's just a small adjustment, like just enough to take up.
Sean,
like, you know,
sometimes it's the small
exactly.
things that just get overlooked, you know.
Yeah.
And then when you do realize how to do it, or you find out about it, you go like, "Oh my God, that was so easy!
Yeah.
Like, how could I have missed that?"
Yeah, exactly. Or people say, "How come I never thought of that?"
Yeah, favorite saying. Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that's great. I look forward to you getting those in because
Once those kits
operating
are done, they'll all have them.
Yeah,
because those are all going to be 4 kits. So those are going to be hardtail, oil tank, battery tray, seat pan, and fender. Like I said before,
a lot of pieces.
Yeah, to me,
A lot of pieces. Yeah.
that's like a full day right there. I just wish people would, more people would understand the culture that's involved in what we're doing, and and the perspectives and of what, you know, just what's involved. Like, you don't have to like do absolutely everything to have fun out in the garage and do stuff. Like, you don't have to take it to the levels that you or myself and other people. There's a handful of us in the world that do that, because not everybody can machine, paint, weld, bend. Like, that's you're
Well, it's like I'm doing a series there on Evos and how to build it. You know, there's still the technical part behind
Absolutely.
it that each guy can't do.
Yeah.
But there is a lot that they can do if they just understand it.
That's right.
You know, and the material is presented to them in a way that's just not a teching over their head.
Yeah.
You know, which is not. We all know.
No, exactly.
They're not rocket science.
No, exactly.
You know?
And the path has been paved for you. So it's not like you're the first one redoing that Evo. Do you know what I mean?
That's
like,
right.
My biggest thing is, you know, I try to be an advocate for the trades. Just the welding, fabricating, building, whether it's plumbing, any type of trade, you know.
Well, it's ironic in our day and age now, Sean. When I was younger and growing up, it was like in grade 10 they told you if you weren't smart, go to trade school.
Exactly,
you know, and look at the guys in the trades.
It's some of the smartest people in the field, and the people that prosper in the trades. Like, you're not just if you're just a welder, you're not just a welder. You can be a welder, and then there's all these sub courses and specialty courses that you can take that amplify your skills and everything. You're constantly learning.
Yeah,
that's what I love about this, because it's evolving. The technology's changing, and everything's growing. Yeah, and we're growing with it.
I'm always amazed by newer
nuts.
stuff that you see coming out. You go like, wow, you know.
Bikes.
My hardest part too, a lot of times, is I can't afford that tool.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, it's amazing to see the innovations that are coming out into it, right? And I'm like you, you know, I'm a little bit older than you, but I would hope that the what do you want to call it, the craze or not, but the young guys building bobbers and doing that whole sort of scene, and I'd like to see that build again, and I'm hoping with some changes in our province that it's going to allow us now to be able to do that.
Absolutely.
Because there's still guys out there. You know, there's still guys out there. There's guys that watch us on YouTube. You know, there's lots of people that are interested in doing things and just looking for a little direction, right?
Yeah.
You know, none of us are experts. You know, we're all just.
No, we know what we know, but the thing is, you know what you know because you've been doing it so long, and you understand the what you're working with because you've been working with it so long, and you've had a thirst for knowledge to understand that
and want to keep learning
and to be able to work on that.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't want to if someone's talking to me about metallurgy, boring. You know, but I have to
understand
exactly,
that. Yes.
Right. And I have to understand, you know, the principles of fusing metals together and stuff like that. That's just one tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
The stuff that you're doing with engines and stuff, that's an art. You're dealing with thousandths of an inch. Like I said, machining's an art. Building engines is art.
Yeah.
Clearances, valve clearances, spring tension, that all has to work in conjunction with one another. And I think that's an excellent outlet for a younger generation to get into, to kind of express themselves. It's art. You're right.
I think a lot of them are afraid to try.
They are. I mean, my son's generation, they're amped. Like he comes out and
does he?
Oh yeah, I'll say.
Mine did too until girls came along.
I'm not there yet. So if he's anything like, But no, he'll come out, and his friends, like one of his buddies came over, and he was just, I couldn't get him out of here. He's just like, he was completely fascinated.
It's nice to see someone interested like that, to see the interest in the younger generation. That's sincere. You know, they're amazed by what they see, and it's new.
Yeah.
And you know, all you can try to do is kindle that spirit a little bit. That's the way I look at it. If I can help one guy along the way.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. We're all helping one another.
That's right.
And where we live geographically, like I was saying before, we're not in like California, or we're not in Las Vegas, and we're not.
That's right.
There's
our market,
or even Toronto or Montreal
or
BC for that matter, because they would be on par with places like that are populated, such as the places.
And we're really just a rural market. You know,
we are.
Hard.
It makes it that much cooler.
Yeah.
You know, Nova Scotia. I think it's.
I'm hoping to get out there and show some people some of the East Coast talents that are out there. They need to know, and hopefully it'll generate more interest and work for us all.
Yeah, I think what you're doing is good, man.
Cool.
You just gotta keep doing it.
So back to this. This is the rear legs.
These are the rear legs. So these are the stationary ones that are going to bolt up to your neck. 1026 DOM tubing. This is all real stout A36 plate. The way we make this dome and everything is there's a plug that goes in there, and we run a bead of weld around there. Then we take it to the lathe and polish it. Same with your uppers. So you'll see that these are threaded already, but it's seamless.
Oh yes, okay.
So when your top clamp goes over, everything slips over this 1.25" tube, and everything fits right tight, and it's secured to the bike.
Is the square new?
Yes, because now the reason I do that is because when we use bearing bronze for the plunger rods, and we oversize them a couple of thou, just a hair bigger than half an inch, so you get like really nice movement for your plunger rods. And we'll use like stainless steel or 1144 stress proof for the plunger rods, because it's really tough stuff. But the square is there, so when you put your guide in, that when we put a grease zerk into the bronze fitting, it can't twist. So it takes quite a bit of parts to build one part.
A lot of material. A lot of material in itself,
So
let alone how each piece has to be massaged in its own way.
That's right. It's old technology, but I've come up with my way of making it old with newer materials and stuff like that. And
a lot more structurally sound than they were.
Not everybody, like when you were doing your thing, all this stuff that's available to me, the generation after you, you guys didn't have that. You guys had to manipulate,
figure it out the hard way,
and have guys that were friends in machine shops and welding shops, and then it became available. You know, so
today it's still pricey for equipment.
Absolutely.
But on the flip side, it depends what you're doing. You know, if you're making enough money I always say, if I can make enough money just to even pay for that piece of equipment, and then I got it to use for an extended period of time. You know, then it's invaluable. You know, I said I did a video the other day, and I was just doing taking a pinion nut off, and I said I had a little Jim's tool that I bought to hold that, and I said, you know, when I bought it, I said to myself, how many times am I going to use that?
Yeah.
And now I'm going like, oh my God.
I use it all the time.
That's right. You'd be trying to jury rig something else up to make it work. Right?
Well, it pays for itself. It's any of this stuff. It's scary because you know yourself. You had a big expense with buying your table, and you're like where we are geographically, like the whole chopper scene culture thing isn't very huge here.
No.
But the guys like you and I and people that are into it, we know each other. The scene is small, and we all like what we like in hot rods and stuff, but it's just not here. So when you buy a purchase like that, you're saying, geez, can I do this? And then,
you know, I did the same thing when I bought it, and I said to the wife, I said, when I buy this machine, it's a big investment, but I don't want to have to do production work. I mean, and that was a bit selfish of myself.
Yeah.
But I didn't want myself to get painted in the corner.
That's right.
Wear the machine out.
Yeah.
You know, all those sort of things. Here I am now, four or 5 years later, and it's just an asset. When you think of a bracket, you think, I'll just go in there and cut it out, right?
It literally takes, you know, an hour or so. You can from non-existent to having parts.
Yeah, so maybe you can tell me a little bit about your machines there, Sean. What you got on the go?
This is my machine shop. So I have 2 vertical mills. This is outfitted with a 4th axis. That's usually on this machine. So what this does is it can cut mild steel, aluminum, brass, stainless steel, titanium. It will actually, you'll bolt your piece of stock to here and program over on the computer next door and come over here on a zip drive, and you'll download your part and you'll zero out the table and it'll start cutting the part. The good thing about these 2 machines is they have a lot of fail-safe. If you're cutting a part and you're going to plunge your tool too far, it'll tell you that in CAD when you're
programming.
doing that. It'll say mistake has been made. You'll go, oh, okay, yeah, I should have changed it.
Save you a lot of tool bits.
Yeah, and I've got about 40 tools programmed in here, and it's just quick connect. So press this button and the tool pops out, and you change the tool, and when it calls for a tool change, the computer tells you, and it stops the spindle, and it zooms up for Z clearance, and you change your tool, and you press cycle start again, and away you go. It's lots of fun.
And to see it makes all the different axis cuts.
And these machines are specifically designed, like they take a small footprint, but they can build a big part, because I've got a 24 inch axis here and an 11.5 axis here, and I got about 4.5 axis here. You don't want to jam your tool into that when you're doing a move, right?
No, because it goes ching ching.
Yeah, your wallet goes ching ching.
Ching ching,
and it gets expensive.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, this is a power hammer I built with my father probably 5 years ago now. So like you, I like to do my own metal shaping. I've always enjoyed building my fenders and gas tanks and oil tanks, and being able to add shape and understand the shrinking, stretching, bending, and cutting, like, where not to hit. You know, just more as important as knowing where to hit. So I built this with my father, and Mittler Brothers, they were kind enough. They put a kit together and they sold me just the 2 arms and the full and as a kit. And what I did I built this big pedestal. So like all this was all built. And if you're ever in the shop and you look at this and you walk up, you say, my God, like that's 1/2 inch plate.
Yeah.
This is 1/2 inch thick wall, 6x6.
Yeah, that's tractor trailer stuff.
This tower probably weighs 1,800 pounds. That probably weighs about 400 pounds. Just the plate.
Just the plate to support it.
Wow. Yeah. And then over time, I started to machine my own dies. So there's a custom-made die with dovetails cut in. And when you have a machine shop, it's no problem to cut dovetails and stuff. So that's for doing a 5-inch radius fender.
Oh.
So once your fender's built and it's kind of like little wonky, you can just go. You can hammer this perfectly. You know the radius.
So you mean built that you've hammered it out? You mean so to speak?
Yeah, because you know yourself working with metal. when you build a fender, sometimes when you rough it out, it can be uneven. What this does is it brings it right back into place again. You know, this would be for shrinking the sides of your fenders. You can see how that works, right?
Yeah.
And these are 1200 American. Yeah, so everything, you know.
We were talking
this is
about a
wishbone.
shock.
Yeah. So
This is for the front legs.
exactly. So your wishbone goes in there. Then there's a bracket that goes in here. And then there's two brackets that get welded onto here that come down
For the bottom of the shock, yeah.
And then I just need to know that you need you want a shock on it beforehand, right? Because they won't get welded onto this if I don't know that beforehand.
Yeah.
So even when
I know that was one of the things I wanted to mention today, and I should have made it like a note.
No, it's all good. I'll put a shock. Well, I won't put the shock on, but I'll put the bracket.
Put the bracket on, that'd be great, yeah.
And I have a shock somewhere here just because I mock it up.
Oh, do you?
To make sure, I mean, they look cool. I take my welding seriously.
No shit.
I'm a welding kind of.
No shit.
I'm a welding kind of.
Wow. That's a monster, that.
Yeah, it's a very powerful.
Yeah.
welder. So you've got, if we unzip this, you'd see 3 lines, right?
Okay.
It'd be your argon. So you can, when you hit your pedal, you're gonna hear the argon go out of it.
Yeah.
But that coolant is actually pumping up through the torch head and keeping this whole thing cool. So
Really?
right after I'm done welding it, like 30 seconds after, I can touch that that cup, right? And I use gas lenses for everything. Like I don't use regular collets.
I can look like something out of Alien with hoses on you.
Well, it's not. You know what? When it's nice in the summer, when you're welding, when it's hot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. Worth it though.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna weld down here, right?
Okay. It's okay, I edited out the bad parts.
No, you can't.
No, I'm only sitting yet.
Oh, it's active.
So anyway,
All right, man.
great visit, Sean.
Yes.
Good to see you, man.
Yep.
We'll be
See you
talking
too.
a lot in the future, and I appreciate you giving me the time. Well, tell people that there's Craftsman out here,
Yeah.
all over the Maritimes.
No, I appreciate you coming over and
Yeah.
doing this, man. I had a good time.
Well,
Always have fun hanging out.
I always have fun. I always have fun too. Yeah, so it's great. All right,
Peace.
we're out. Yeah. 50-mile drive home doesn't look like it's going to be any fun. So we had a great visit at Sean's today. I always have a good time when I'm there. We don't get to visit each other enough like we should. But he had some interesting stuff, and it was a good day. We really enjoyed it. So stick with us while we continue this series on some of the craftsmen and shops that are here on the east coast of Canada. We can't drive all year, but we can certainly build in the winter and drive in the summer. All right, see you later.